Charlie had a clear vision of what film he wanted to make, but he allowed us to infuse this world with our own ideas and sensibilities. This is a really unique film, but so is every film from Charlie Kaufman, so it wasn't really a surprise that when I first watched this, I felt the need to watch it again straight away, not only because the story was absorbing and perplexing, but also because the cinematography was simply remarkable. So I may be in the minority here, but I really enjoyed this film, and I say that because I started watching it with 4 other people, and by the time the film had finished, I was the only one left. It wasn't just the story that kept me watching though, and I hope I pronounced this correctly. Lucas Zahl's cinematography was just so alluring, and I felt as though I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. Everything from the colours to the blocking was just so captivating, but I'll get onto that later. In today's video, I'll be looking at what equipment Lucas Zahl used, his use of composition, framing and movement, as well as what makes it so unique, because there's one thing about the cinematography that really separates this film from all other thrillers today.
I am so glad Jake has found someone. No!
As always, let's start by looking at the equipment first. Zahl opted to use the Sony Venice paired with Panavision's H-series lenses. He chose them because they created a more moody feel in the cinematography, and also because the majority of the shoot would be indoors. When talking about choosing the Venice, Zahl said, "I decided upon Sony Venice because it is a great camera for low light shoots. We even rolled at ISO 2500, and I could shoot our 4x3 format full frame in 6K, which provided the film with an additional layer of visual uniqueness." And that pretty much explains why it's such an incredible camera, especially for a film like this. But I also wanted to add that it's a great camera to use if you want to build something for your specific needs. For example, it has an extension that allows you to take the sensor off and have a much lighter rig. Moving on to the lenses however, Zahl puts it best saying, "As for the H-series lenses, they have this charming retro quality that I love to play with, and which always presents me with many options to give the images a beautiful imperfection. I wanted the film to feel somewhat flawed, human if you will." He went on to add that they contrasted with the Venice's crisp and polished look. When you get to this point in your career though, you know exactly what is going to work for the film and with your crew, so I'm not willing to add onto anything that he said here. Before going into depth about the composition and framing, we need to look at the choice of aspect ratio. Now, experimenting with aspect ratios isn't a new thing. In fact, over the past few years it's been becoming overwhelmingly popular, and the 1.33:1 ratio that they used in this is probably the leader of the movement, and Carsten Rundquist has a great video looking into why it looks so good. Additionally, because the framing was in 4:3 ratio, it immediately puts your eyes at the centre of the frame, and thus disorientates the viewer even more. Adding on to that, it's also something that separates your film from all other new films coming out, and for someone like me who only ever thinks about film and cinematography, it's quite a big plus. Onto the composing of the frames however, and that's a very pretentious way of putting it, we have some pretty simple compositions. As Zahl put it earlier, there is quite a lot of centre framing, which not only helps in creating a balanced frame, but it also guides the eye of the viewer. I may be biased here though, because I think it looks incredible when shooting in 4x3. It's also really easy to create an unbalanced frame though, so it's quite a safe bet. Whilst talking about the movement, Zahl stated, "Because this world is so unpredictable and the story uses a mosaic of POVs, we decided that the camera should often anticipate what happens. It sometimes moves a second or two before the actor or suggests to the viewer that what is important in the scene lies on the outskirts of the shot." But that's as deep as I'm willing to go regarding the movement for now. Overall, the compositions are simple. The majority of the film takes place in the centre of the frame, but Lucas Zahl really expresses himself when it comes to the movement, which leads me to So what is it that LucasArts did that makes the cinematography of this film so unique? Well, it's to do with how Zal would move the camera in relation to Lucy's state of mind, and you might be saying that this isn't something special as it's something that we've seen before, but I can't remember a time seeing it in this context. Throughout the film, the tension between the main characters is constantly rising, from the journey there to when they're at the school. And this is displayed through the camera movement. If a scene is showing Lucy tense and anxious, then we will be swapped out of the Steadicam in favour of handheld. On that note, I also want to add that the fact that the lighting throughout really helps convey the state of mind of all of the characters. I mean, when we first enter the house, it's full of cool colours and feels almost abandoned, yet when the parents appear, we are again full of colour. He wanted the film to look like a painting, Zal noted. Farmhouses are filled with memories and family history, and we wanted to add those layers here, he added. The wallpaper looked like it was disappearing into the background, almost like a memory. This was LucasArts talking about what Kaufman wanted from the cinematography of the film, but it also shows how much the production design team had a say in the end result, as this film would not be the same without that wallpaper. Ultimately, the cinematography throughout this film felt pretty subtle, and that perfectly complements the story. We have centre framing, unique movement, and the incredible use of lighting. That's all we want though, as we don't want to be focusing on how beautifully shot the film was, which it is, when we already need to watch the film twice to fully understand the story. Also, I know I said that I'd start doing longer videos in the previous episode, however I'm also going to mix that in with 2 videos a week as long as I can do it, as there are cases where I'll be grabbing onto anything to stretch the video out to 8 minutes, and I don't want to be doing that. I hope you enjoyed this video looking at the unique cinematography of I'm Thinking of Ending Things. If you have a film or TV show that you would like to see me analyse, then leave a comment down below. If you found it informative, a like is appreciated, and if you would like to see more videos like this, then hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.